Ever listen to a sad country song and wonder if it's based on a true story? Well, get ready, because sometimes the truth is way wilder than the lyrics. We're digging into the biggest relationship bombshells in country music history, stories of heartbreak and betrayal that could make a grown man cry. Just wait until you hear about the country legend whose wife wrote a whole album about his wandering eye. 1. Hank Williams. We have to start with the godfather of modern country music, the one and only Hank Williams. His songs like Your Cheatin' Heart are legendary, but truth be told, he wasn't just writing about other people. Hank's life was as messy and heartbreaking as any of his lyrics. His marriage to Audrey Shepherd was famously explosive. They loved hard and they fought hard, and both were known to have a wandering eye. Their relationship was a roller coaster of breakups and makeups, often fueled by Hank's struggles with his personal demons and the pressures of fame. He was a creative genius, but his personal life was pure chaos. Audrey was a force of nature herself and had big ambitions, which often clashed with Hank's troubled soul. Many believe that the pain from their stormy relationship is what gave his music such raw, honest emotion. He poured all that turmoil into his songs, creating a legacy as country music's original tortured artist. His story set a pattern that many other stars would unfortunately follow. If you think the original king of country had a dramatic love life, wait until you hear about the queen who famously sang about not taking any nonsense from her man. 2. Loretta Lynn. Loretta Lynn is a true country queen, a trailblazer who wrote her own truth into her songs. And a big part of that truth was her wild, complicated, and nearly 50-year marriage to Oliver Doolittle Lynn. Loretta's hits like You Ain't Woman Enough to Take My Man and Fist City weren't just catchy tunes, they were public warnings inspired by her real life. Doolittle, or Do as she called him, was known all over town for stepping out on Loretta, and she was never afraid to sing about it. She married Do when she was just a teenager, and he was the one who bought her her first guitar and pushed her on stage. He saw her talent, but he also caused her a whole lot of heartache. Their marriage was a mix of deep love and serious drama. Loretta wrote in her own autobiography that her husband was seeing other women and that it was a constant source of pain for her. Yet, she stood by him until the very end. She loved him, but she refused to be a quiet victim. Instead, she turned her pain into power, writing songs that became anthems for women everywhere who were dealing with the same thing. Loretta turned her real-life drama into hit records. But our next story is about a country romance so iconic, people forget it started with one person breaking their marriage vows. 3. Johnny Cash. The love story of Johnny Cash and June Carter is one of the most famous in all of music history. It was a beautiful, soulful connection that was even turned into a hit movie. But here's the part of the story that often gets glossed over. It began when Johnny was married to someone else. For years, while Johnny was married to his first wife, Vivian Lee Berteau, the mother of his 4 daughters, his connection with June Carter was growing. They were touring together, singing together, and falling for each other right in front of the world. Vivian later wrote that she felt like a third wheel in her own marriage. She saw the sparks between Johnny and June and felt helpless as the man in black fell deeper for the spirited singer from the legendary Carter family. It was a long, painful situation. Johnny was on the road, battling his own terrible habits and leaning on June for support. Their connection was undeniable, but it came at the cost of his first family's happiness. Eventually, Johnny and Vivian split, and he was free to marry June. Their love was real and lasted a lifetime, but its beginning was a classic tale of a cheating heart. A secret romance between 2 tourmates is one thing, but what happens when the king and queen of country music are a married couple whose public image is shattered by tales of betrayal? 4. George Jones and Tammy Wynette. In the 1972nd, George Jones and Tammy Wynette were country music royalty. They were known as the President and First Lady of country music, and their duets about love and heartbreak were massive hits. But behind the scenes, their marriage was a complete disaster, full of drama that made their sad songs seem tame by comparison. They were both superstars with big personalities, and their relationship was a fiery mix of passion and chaos. Their 6-year marriage was legendary for its stormy nature. Stories of epic fights and wild behavior were common knowledge in Nashville, but the biggest issue was the constant cheating. Truth be told, both George and Tammy were accused of having secret romances. One of the most famous stories involves Tammy's relationship with another country singer, which supposedly drove George into a jealous rage. Their hit song Golden Ring was about a love that burns out, and for them, that was real life. Their own hit, Divorce, felt like a headline from their own lives. Their love was passionate and produced incredible music, but it was far too volatile to last. George and Tammy's drama was public, but our next star managed to keep his messy love life a little more under the radar, even though he went through wives at a record pace. 5. Waylon Jennings. Waylon Jennings was a true Nashville outlaw, a man who played by his own rules in his music and in his life. That independent streak also applied to his relationships. Before he found lasting love with fellow singer Jessi Colter, Waylon's love life was a whirlwind of I do's and I'm done's I am. He was married a whopping 4 times, and the journey to his final marriage was filled with some rocky patches and broken hearts. His first 3 marriages were short and happened when he was a young man, still trying to find his way. By the time he hit it big in the music world, he was living the full-on outlaw lifestyle, and it was tough on his relationships. The road, the fame, and the temptations that came with them led to a lot of turmoil. When he met Jessi Colter, he was actually married to someone else. Their connection was instant and powerful, and it led to the end of his 3rd marriage. Waylon and Jessi became one of country's most iconic couples, but it took him a few tries and some messy overlap to finally get it right. Waylon wasn't the only outlaw with a complicated romantic history. His good friend and fellow music legend also had a love life that could fill a dozen country songs. 6. Willie Nelson. Willie Nelson is a living legend, famous for his iconic braids, his legendary tour bus, and his easygoing attitude. But his love life has been anything but easygoing. Just like his friend Waylon, Willie has been married 4 times and has a big blended family to show for it. His romantic history is a long and winding road, with a few major bumps and broken hearts along the way. His most dramatic chapter involved his 2nd wife, Shirley, and the woman who would become his 3rd wife, Connie. The story goes that Willie was still married to Shirley when he started a secret romance with Connie. It all came to a head in a truly dramatic way. One day, a hospital bill for a newborn baby girl came to his house. The bill was for Connie's child, and Willie was listed as the father. When Shirley saw it, she understandably blew up. It was the final straw in a marriage that was already on shaky ground. Willie eventually married Connie, but that relationship didn't last either. It took him until his 4th marriage to his current wife Annie to find lasting peace. Willie's drama unfolded over decades, but some country stars pack all their relationship chaos into just a few short, messy years, as our next artist proves. 7. Travis Tritt. Travis Tritt stormed onto the country scene in the early 92nd with his outlaw country rock-infused sound. He sang with a lot of swagger and confidence, but behind the scenes, his love life was a bit of a mess. Before he settled down with his current wife, Teresa, Travis had 2 other marriages that ended in heartbreak and a swirl of rumors. His 2nd marriage was so short and ended so suddenly that it left fans scratching their heads. He married his high school sweetheart early on, but that didn't last as his career started to take off. Then he married a woman named Jody Barnett. This marriage was incredibly brief, lasting only about 2 years. The split was sudden, and while no one ever confirmed the exact reasons, whispers in Nashville pointed to a wandering eye as the main cause. The speed of the breakup and his quick move into a new relationship with Teresa, who he soon married, fueled the speculation. It seemed like a classic case of a star whose head was turned by new opportunities on the road, leaving a short-lived marriage in his dust. A short, mysterious marriage is one thing, but our next scandal involves a country megastar whose friendship with another singer was a what-if story for years until it suddenly became reality. 8. Garth Brooks. Garth Brooks is arguably the biggest star in country music history. In the 92nd, he was a global phenomenon. Throughout his rise to fame, he was married to his college sweetheart, Sandy Mall. Their marriage lasted for 15 years, and they had 3 daughters together. On the surface, they were a solid team. But there was always another person in the picture, fellow country singer Trisha Yearwood. Their musical chemistry was off the charts, and their friendship was very, very close. For years, Garth and Trisha were just friends, but the connection was so strong that many people in Nashville wondered if there was more to it. Garth himself later admitted that he was probably not the best husband and that the demands of his career put a huge strain on his marriage. After Garth and Sandy finally called it quits, it wasn't long before he and Trisha officially became a couple. They claimed their romance only started after he was single, but the timing and their long, intense friendship left many fans believing that their love story really began years before, while he was still a married man. A long, simmering romance that finally blossoms is one kind of story. But what happens when a happy marriage is destroyed by the most shocking betrayal imaginable? 9. Shania Twain. Shania Twain's story is one of the most jaw-dropping in country music history. In the 92nd, she was on top of the world. With her husband and producer, Robert Mutt Lang, she created some of the best-selling country albums of all time. They were a powerhouse couple, living a seemingly perfect life in a beautiful home in Switzerland. And then, it all came crashing down in the most unbelievable way possible. Her husband, Mutt, suddenly told her their marriage was over. Shania was heartbroken and confused, but the truth was far worse than she could have imagined. She soon discovered that Mutt had been having a secret romance with her best friend and personal assistant, a woman named Marie Ann Thibault. It was a devastating double betrayal. The 2 people she trusted most in the world had gone behind her back. But here is where the story takes a turn you would only see in a movie. In the aftermath, Shania found comfort with the one person who understood her pain perfectly, Marie Ann's ex-husband, Frederick Thibault. They fell in love and eventually got married. It was a bizarre, real-life partner swap that ended one of country's biggest power couples. Shania's story involved a betrayal from a best friend. But our next star faced a different and arguably more horrifying kind of betrayal from her husband. 10. Wynonna Judd. Wynonna Judd has always been a survivor, a powerful voice in country music who has faced down more than her fair share of personal struggles. Her career, both with her mother Naomi in the Judds and as a solo artist, has been incredible. But her personal life has been marked by deep heartbreak, and none was more shocking than the end of her marriage to her longtime road manager, D.R. Roach. Theirs was a love story that seemed solid, built on years of friendship and working together. They were married for 4 years, but it all ended in a horrifying public scandal. Her husband was arrested for committing some absolutely unspeakable acts against a child. For Wynonna, this was not just a betrayal of their marriage vows, it was a betrayal of basic human decency. It was a dark and disturbing secret that he had been hiding, and its discovery shattered her world. She filed for a split immediately, stating that she was living in hell. It was a scandal that went far beyond simple cheating and into a realm of darkness that no one should ever have to face. A criminal betrayal is one kind of shocking event, but our next scandal was a classic he said, she said battle that played out for all the world to see. 11. Sarah Evans. In the mid-2002, Sarah Evans was a huge country star with a wholesome, family-friendly image. She was married to a politician named Craig Shelsky, and they had 3 kids together. They seemed like the perfect couple. That image was completely shattered when she suddenly dropped out of the television show Dancing with the Stars, citing personal reasons. Soon after, the world found out why. She had filed for a split from her husband, and the details were explosive. The breakup wasn't quiet or private. It was a public war fought in the pages of magazines. Sarah accused her husband of being unfaithful, claiming he had a secret romance with their family nanny. She also made other shocking claims about his behavior, but he didn't take it lying down. He fired back with his own set of accusations, painting a very different picture of their marriage. It turned into a nasty, mudslinging fight, with both sides trying to make the other look as bad as possible. The scandal was a huge blow to Sarah's girl-next-door image and revealed a dark and messy side of her life that no one had ever seen. Sarah's divorce was a public spectacle. Our next artist also dealt with marriage troubles in the public eye, not once, but twice. 12. Trace Adkins. Trace Adkins is a giant of a man with a deep voice and a tough guy image. He sings songs about being a roughneck and a cowboy. But behind that rugged exterior is a man who has gone through some serious relationship turmoil. His romantic history is marked by drama and heartbreak, including 2 very difficult splits that were filled with accusations of cheating. His second marriage ended amid rumors that his wife had been seeing someone on the side. The story goes that Trace found out about it, leading to a huge confrontation and the end of their relationship. It was a painful and private matter that became public knowledge. Years later, history seemed to repeat itself, but with a different kind of drama. His third wife, Rhonda Forlaw, filed for a split after a wild incident on a cruise ship. Trace, who has openly struggled with his sobriety, had a relapse and got into a physical fight with a Trace Adkins impersonator. The event put a massive strain on their marriage, and while infidelity wasn't the main accusation this time, the chaos and betrayal of trust ultimately led to another painful public breakup. Trace's story shows how personal demons can destroy a relationship. Our next story is a modern fairy tale turned sour, all thanks to a movie set romance. 13. Leanne Rimes and Eddie Cibrian. This scandal was so dramatic, it felt like it was ripped straight from a script of a television movie. And fittingly enough, it all started on the set of one. In 2009, country superstar Leanne Rimes, who had been famous since she was a teenager, was married to a dancer named Dean Sher Met. At the same time, actor Eddie Cibrian was married to a reality television personality, Brandi Glanville. Leanne and Eddie were cast as the romantic leads in a Lifetime movie, and their on-screen chemistry quickly spilled over into real life. Soon, paparazzi photos emerged showing Leanne and Eddie on a dinner date, looking way too cozy for just co-stars. They were caught red-handed. At first, they denied everything, but the pictures told the whole story. The scandal blew up, and it was incredibly messy. 2 marriages were destroyed in the process, and the public backlash, especially against Leanne, was intense. She went from being America's sweetheart to being labeled a homewrecker. Eventually, both she and Eddie got divorced from their spouses and ended up marrying each other. They're still together today, but their relationship started in a huge, shocking scandal. Leanne and Eddie's affair was caught by the paparazzi. But what happens when the biggest power couple in modern country music breaks up and leaves everyone guessing who was to blame? 14. Blake Shelton and Miranda Lambert. For years, Blake Shelton and Miranda Lambert were the undisputed king and queen of modern country music. He was the lovable, funny judge on The Voice, and she was the fierce, Grammy-winning superstar. They were a powerhouse couple who seemed to have it all. That's why the entire world was shocked when they announced in 2015 that they were splitting up after 4 years of marriage. The announcement came out of nowhere, and the mystery only deepened from there. Almost immediately, the rumor mill went into overdrive. There were stories flying from every direction. Some reports claimed Blake was suspicious of Miranda's close friendship with another singer. Other reports claimed Miranda was fed up with Blake's partying ways and that he was the one who had strayed. It was a classic case of he said, she said, played out through anonymous sources in magazines. Both Blake and Miranda have stayed pretty quiet about the specific reasons for the split, which has only made people whisper more. To this day, no one knows the full story, but the sheer volume of cheating rumors from both sides suggests their fairy tale romance had a very unhappy ending. Blake and Miranda's split was full of mystery. But our next star's cheating scandal was anything but, because he was caught in the act on camera. 15. Jason Aldean. Jason Aldean built his career on being a down-to-earth family man from Georgia. He sang songs about small-town life, and he was married to his high school sweetheart, Jessica Rye. They had been together since they were teenagers and had 2 daughters. That wholesome image came to a screeching halt in 2012 when a celebrity gossip website published photos that rocked his world. The pictures showed Jason at a bar in Hollywood, getting very close and personal with a woman who was definitely not his wife. The woman was a former American Idol contestant named Brittany Kerr. The photos were undeniable, and the scandal exploded. At first, Jason issued a public apology, calling his actions a drunken mistake and promising to work on his marriage. But the damage was done. A few months later, he and his wife separated for good. Not long after that, Jason and Brittany went public as a couple. Many fans felt betrayed, believing he had thrown away his family for a fling. Jason has always maintained that his relationship with Brittany only started after his marriage was already over. But for many, the pictures told a different story. Jason Aldean was caught by the paparazzi. Our next legend was caught by his own wife, who also happened to be the person running his entire career. 16. Randy Travis. Randy Travis was one of the biggest stars of the 82nd and 92nd, a singer who brought a classic sound back to country music. The person behind his incredible success was his manager, Lib Hatcher. She discovered him when he was a troubled teenager, and she guided his entire career. She was also 16 years older than him, and eventually their professional relationship turned personal and they got married. For 19 years, they were a team in every sense of the word. But their marriage came to a shocking end in 2010. They announced their split, and the business side of their relationship got very messy. But the real bombshell was the reason behind the breakup. It came out that Randy had been having a secret romance with another woman, Mary Davis, who was the wife of his dentist. The betrayal was twofold. He had been unfaithful to his wife, and he had also been hiding this from the woman who had built his entire career from the ground up. The split was bitter and led to lawsuits. Randy eventually married Mary, but the end of his first marriage was a messy scandal that combined business with a broken heart. Randy Travis's drama involved a long-hidden secret. But our next star's marriage has been a roller coaster of on-again, off-again drama for decades. 17. Billy Ray Cyrus. Billy Ray Cyrus shot to global fame with his mega-hit Achy Breaky Heart. Ironically, that song title is a pretty good description of his long and turbulent relationship with his wife, Tish Cyrus. For over 30 years, their marriage has been a public soap opera of breakups, makeups, and cheating rumors. They have filed for a split not once, not twice, but 3 separate times over the course of their relationship. Each time they file the paperwork, stories and rumors begin to fly. Over the years, both Billy Ray and Tish have been the subject of whispers about having secret romances during their off-again periods. Their life together has been a constant cycle of separating, fueling speculation of infidelity, and then getting back together. The constant drama has clearly taken a toll on their famous family, including their daughter Miley Cyrus. It's a never-ending story of a passionate but incredibly unstable relationship where the lines between on a break and cheating have always seemed very blurry. Some stars have decades of drama, but our next one built a reputation for being a wild man before he finally settled down. 18. John Rich. John Rich, one half of the hit-making duo Big and Rich, is known for his save-a-horse, ride-a-cowboy attitude. Before he got married and settled down, he fully lived up to that wild man persona. His reputation on Nashville's Music Row was that of a guy who loved to party and have a good time. While there wasn't one single giant cheating scandal, his past is filled with stories that paint a picture of a guy who wasn't exactly focused on committed one-woman relationships. In his younger days, as his career was taking off, John Rich embraced the rock star lifestyle. Life on the road presented a lot of temptations, and by many accounts, he didn't resist them. His public image was that of a ladies' man, and his behavior often matched that image. It was a pattern of living life in the fast lane, which often doesn't leave room for a stable, faithful relationship. He has since spoken about his wilder days and is now a devoted family man. But for a long time, he was one of Nashville's most famous bachelors for a reason. John Rich's story is about a lifestyle. But our next scandal is a total mystery. A 4-month marriage that ended with a single, explosive word: 19. Kenny Chesney. This one is less of a classic cheating scandal and more of a massive celebrity mystery. In 2005, country superstar Kenny Chesney, known for his beach bum, no shoes, no shirt, no problems vibe, did something no one expected. He married A-list Hollywood actress Renee Zellweger after a whirlwind romance. Fans were stunned. Then, just 4 months later, they were even more stunned when the couple announced they were getting their marriage annulled. An annulment isn't a divorce. It means the marriage was never legally valid. And the reason they listed on the legal papers was fraud. That single word sent the gossip world into a frenzy. Fraud? What did that mean? The public's imagination ran wild with all sorts of crazy theories about what the fraud could have been, with many people jumping to unfair conclusions about Kenny. Both he and Renee have always refused to explain what it meant, stating it was just legal language and not a reflection of his character. But the mystery remains, making their short-lived marriage one of the strangest and most talked-about scandals in country music. A mysterious annulment is one way to cause a stir. But sometimes, the scandal is just hiding in plain sight, baked right into a band's image. 20. The Bellamy Brothers. Let's throw it back to the late 72nd and 82nd with the Bellamy Brothers. Their biggest hit was the cheeky and incredibly famous song, "If I Said You Had a Beautiful Body, Would You Hold It Against Me?" That song perfectly captured their public image. They were two handsome, charming brothers who sang songs that were often a little bit suggestive and a whole lot of fun. And truth be told, their real lives on the road often mirrored the playful, woman-chasing vibe of their music. Life on the road for a popular band in that era was a world of temptation. The Bellamy Brothers were constantly touring, playing in packed venues full of adoring female fans. They were living the dream, and with that dream came a lifestyle that wasn't always friendly to long-term, faithful relationships back home. While not tied to one specific explosive scandal, their story is representative of a whole generation of country stars. They built an image as lovable, charming playboys, and for a long time, they lived up to it, creating more than a few heartaches along the way. Their story proves that sometimes the cheatin' heart isn't a secret scandal, it's just part of the show.